Here's a fully rewritten, smooth, expanded version of the story as a single continuous narrative, with no headings, no analysis language, and no structural markers. It reads like a polished, viral HOA story meant for narration. I never thought retirement would begin with handcuffs clicking around my wrists while my sprinklers were still dripping morning dew onto my flower beds. After 30 years on the bench, sentencing people who actually broke real laws, I assumed my biggest problem will be learning how not to wake up at 5, out of habit. Instead, at 6:47 one quiet morning, I was standing in my bathrobe, coffee cooling in my hand, watching police lights bounce off my neighbor's windows because I dared to water my flowers 2 minutes past an HOA deadline. That was the moment Cordelia Ashworth decided I was her next project. Willowbrook Estates looked like a postcard when my wife Miriam and I moved in. Perfect lawns, kids on bicycles, neighbors who waved instead of staring at phones. I mentioned casually, over welcome casseroles and polite small talk, that I was a retired judge. People smiled. One woman even said it made her feel safer. I wish I'd known then what kind of attention that would attract. Cordelia introduced herself on our third day. I heard her before I saw her, heels clicking with purpose, clipboard tucked against her chest like a badge. She smiled while handing me violation notices already printed with my address. Tomatoes. That was my first crime. According to her interpretation of the HOA rules, food plants were unauthorized botanical installations. I tried reasoning with her, citing the actual covenant language that allowed homeowner gardens. She cut me off, told me she'd been interpreting these rules for years, and dismissed my legal background like it was a hobby. I removed the tomatoes. I wanted peace. That's when the whispers started. Neighbors spoke to me quietly, like they were confessing crimes. Fines for Christmas lights 8 hours too early. Chalk drawings labeled graffiti. Children's bikes cited as visible clutter. Elderly residents fined because their newspapers landed a few inches outside some imaginary zone. Patterns emerged. Same people targeted. Same fear. Cordelia wasn't managing a neighborhood. She was ruling it. The watering violation came next. According to her stopwatch, my sprinklers ran late. According to reality, they didn't. She was timing me every morning, standing across the street like I was under investigation. So I documented everything. Time-stamped video. Clear evidence. What I discovered was almost funny. My sprinklers shut off exactly on time. Her watch was fast, and while she accused me of violations, she broke the same rules daily. When I showed her the evidence, she didn't retreat. She escalated. She accused me of harassment, called the police, and claimed I was trespassing on my own watering schedule. Officers arrived confused, embarrassed, clearly tired of being used as props in her personal vendetta. Then she went after my family. Guest parking violations timed to the minute. Threats against neighbors who spoke up. She even weaponized government agencies, terrifying residents with false reports and intimidation. That's when I stopped being patient. I pulled the original HOA documents. The real ones. They didn't match her rules. Then I checked the state registry. The HOA didn't exist anymore. It had been dissolved years earlier. Everything she'd done, every fine, every threat, every lien was fraud. She wasn't enforcing rules. She was impersonating authority. And she'd been collecting money the entire time. The evidence snowballed fast. Shell companies. Fake legal letters. Forged documents. Intimidation. False police reports. It wasn't just abuse, it was organized theft. By the time authorities stepped in, the case was airtight. Cordelia's final performance came at a community meeting she called to restore order. She stood at the podium, accusing me of corruption, waving fake documents, demanding obedience. I let her finish. Then I calmly told the room the truth. Phones came out. Facts spread. Panic crossed her face just seconds before real federal agents walked through the doors. This time, the handcuffs weren't for watering flowers. The aftermath changed everything. Money was returned. The neighborhood rebuilt itself with transparency and actual rules. Kids played again. Gardens grew without fear. People learned how to protect themselves from fake authority dressed up as community leadership. My tomatoes came back, bigger than before. Retirement finally became quiet, not because someone enforced it, but because no one had to be afraid anymore. And every morning, when my sprinklers turn off exactly when I want them to, I sip my coffee and smile, because the sound of justice sometimes is just water shutting off on time.